When people speak of the good old days, they often imagine soft light and slow clocks. Laundry looks warm in memory. Evenings appear quiet. Life sounds gentler when recalled this way, as if effort itself were lighter then. She hears this often enough to recognize it for what it is. She stands at the kitchen island while a food processor works the dough. The machine hums steadily, obedient, patient. Flour dusts the counter. The blade kneads without complaint, turning and folding the bread the way her hands once did. That still surprises me, she says quietly, more to the room than to anyone else. Things stopping when you tell them to. She presses the button and the machine falls silent. The sudden quiet feels heavier than the sound. Her hands rest on the edge of the island. They no longer lie flat. The fingers curve inward, thick at the joints, shaped by decades of lifting, scrubbing, kneading, hauling. She tries to straighten them and stops when they refuse. These used to be quick, she says. They used to do what I told them. People who talk about wanting the good old days rarely start with the work. In those days, nothing came to you. Water did not arrive through pipes. It was caught, baled, and carried in buckets from the creek, heavy enough to pull the arms long before the house was reached. Every step added weight. If water spilled, the labor began again. Nothing was wasted because nothing was free. There was a sink, but the pipe beneath it did not lead anywhere. A bucket sat underneath to catch what fell away. When it filled, someone lifted it and carried it outside, pouring it onto the garden. The soap, sometimes lye, burned the skin as it cleaned. It also killed the aphids. Not because that was planned, but because that was the way of things. One substance did many jobs. The body absorbed the cost. Light did not switch on at dusk. A single bare bulb gathered dust and shadows overhead. Cobwebs clung where no one had time to reach. At night there were candles or oil lamps, flames that had to be watched carefully, shadows learned and memorized. Cold rose through floorboards. Knots let air slip up through the wood. Tar paper lay beneath rugs braided by hand from scraps of worn dresses and work shirts. Nothing matched. Nothing was wasted. The kitchen once calibrated the entire day. Wood stoves cooked, heated, boiled water, and held the iron warm on top so it would be ready when clothes needed pressing. The iron was solid metal, heavy in the hand. Too hot and it scorched. Too cool and it did nothing. Baking meant feeding the stove wood until the heat felt right. No dial, no gauge. Too little heat ruined the bread. Too much burned it. In winter, someone went out into the snow to chop wood before the house could be warm. There was one pot to cook in, one pan for the oven. Meals happened in order because nothing could happen at the same time. Egg beaters came later. Before that, sugar and butter were creamed by hand. You flipped and pressed and worked the bowl until your arms burned. The batter changed only because you kept going. Laundry took the day. Before machines, there was the washboard. Knuckles split and bled. Soap burned open skin. Water boiled on the stove and filled the kitchen with steam. In summer, clothes were pinned to a wire line that cut into wet hands. In winter, they froze stiff and had to be dragged back inside, hung all over the kitchen until everything smelled damp for days. That same wire line held the rugs. You beat them there, dust rising into the air, arms swinging until shoulders ached. Children's clothes told their own story. Knees stained deep with grass. Fabric patched to last a year. Knees first, elbows next. Nothing was thrown away because nothing could be replaced. Cupboards were made from saved bushel boxes. Doors were covered with leftover cloth, remnants from school dresses and work shirts. Fabric moved from body to house without ceremony. There was one shovel. It dug, planted, cleared. When it dulled, you worked harder. There was no refrigerator, only an icebox. A block of ice melted slowly. Water collected in a drawer underneath. Someone emptied it. Food spoiled if time was misjudged. Baths meant boiling water on the stove and pouring it into a big bucket, the same one used for the cow, the same one children splashed in during summer. Cleanliness took planning, heat took fuel. At night, the fire burned down. The embers glowed for a while and then faded. By the time the house went quiet, the warmth had already begun to leave. Beds were cold when she climbed into them. Sheets felt clammy against tired skin, holding the chill of the room. You did not slide into comfort. You endured it. You lay still and waited for your body to warm the cloth again, breath by breath, until the dampness lifted and sleep finally came. Blankets smelled faintly of smoke. Comfort arrived slowly, after effort, the same as everything else. People remember the sitting. They remember the quiet after the work was done. Porches and laughter and evenings when everyone finally stopped moving. They do not remember why stopping felt so good. The processor whirs again. Later it will make cookie dough. Later it will shred carrots, potatoes, cabbage, cleanly, without blood. It will spare her knuckles. It will finish the work without asking her body to pay again. Her mother lived those old ways. Her grandmother lived even deeper inside them. They spoke of the past gently. They softened their telling. They did not pass down pain. They said things like we managed and it wasn't so bad. They remembered the light and left the weight behind. She understands why now. Memory is a selective mercy. It releases what the body held. It keeps laughter, not strain. It keeps lamplight, not cold floors. This is not denial, it is survival. She does not wish to go back. She does not believe her mother or grandmother would want her to. If they could stand here now, water running warm and steady, heat holding constant, machines doing the work their bodies once did alone, they would not mourn what was gone. They would rest. They would recognize it for what it is. Not loss. Relief arriving late. I don't miss the labor, she says softly, shaping the dough. I miss the people who shared it. That is what memory keeps. When people say they want the good old days, she knows what they mean. They want the rest, the belonging, the quiet at the end of honest work. What they do not want is the carrying of heavy buckets, the washboard, the bleeding knuckles, the clammy sheets waiting to be warmed by tired bodies. The good old days were not gentle. They were strong. Memory turns strength into light. That is not a lie. It is mercy. This entry functions as a domestic labor record documenting pre-convenience household systems and their long-term effects on the human body. It contributes to the Red Cardinal Kitchen archive as an observational record of endurance, continuity, and cultural perception. The narrative treats generational experience as a system behavior rather than a personal account. Every present moment will eventually soften into memory, not because it was easy, but because the human mind cannot carry weight forever. What remains is light. That, too, is a form of truth. This is a public dedication to all who have passed and all who still reside. A remembrance of shared experiences, echoing through time, and a testament to the enduring human spirit. For the hands that scrubbed, lifted, carried, and endured. For the labor that shaped households and bodies. For the memories that chose light over pain. Record status. Status. Finalized. Archivist. Red Cardinal Kitchen. Date. 2026.